For more on the fallout, though, regarding these headlines, let's turn to our senior economics reporter, Steve Leisman, who's also got some flash Fed surveys. Hey, Steve.
Yeah, I just got the phone with the White House, Carl, and I can confirm the White House is confirming that the Mexican tariffs will be delayed by 1 month. Did not get much opportunity to talk with the official, but the official did confirm, CNBC can confirm that the Mexican tariffs will be delayed by 1 month. So what the Mexican President Sheinbaum said is accurate about this 1 month delay. Let me just turn real quick. Carl, do you want to talk about that, or should I move on and talk about what the survey says about the economic impact of all this?
Surveys, Steve, for sure.
So it is hard, Carl, as you may know, to get economists to agree on anything, but they're united in believing that tariffs on China, Mexico, and Canada will reduce U.S. growth and boost inflation, though they disagree on how much. Every one of the 20 forecasters we surveyed in a flash CNBC Fed survey over the weekend predicting lower GDP in 2025 with an average of minus 0.6%. All but two forecasting higher inflation in 2025. Prices expected to rise by an average half point above what they otherwise would have been. The range of impacts, though, does go from minus 0.1, in other words, a pittance, to a very substantial minus 2%. For the CPI, the range is, as I said, a couple guys came in at 0, and the upper end is 1.5%. John Donaldson from Haverford writing in with the survey. To my knowledge, there has never been a happy outcome from a trade war. Alan Sinai says we have entered dangerous, uncharted territory here. Key to the impact is how long these tariffs may last or when they take effect. With the most believing they'll be short term. You can see most people think they'll be lower than 6 months or only last about 6 months. After that, a few say, a large chunk say they don't know. CNBC asked the White House if there had been an economic analysis of these tariff impacts, and they responded that the focus was on fentanyl deaths, which don't have a price. They sent a background sheet with no numbers, but it said in part, quote, tariffs strengthen the American economy, raise wages, and create jobs. They bring back manufacturing to the U.S. and reduce trade deficits. Kevin Hassett, the president's top economic advisor, saying on Squawk Box this morning that this is a drug war, not a trade war. He added that he's preparing economic analyses that take into account all of the president's proposals, not just tariffs, and that he expects they will show a positive growth impact. We'll be talking about some of this stuff with Susan Collins, Boston Fed president, at the top of the hour. Guys?
I think that'll be important, Steve, because the question is, how does the Fed deal? So now, I don't know what you think, but it looks like this is a sort of one-off. It's not a gradual increase in tariffs, or at least at the moment. And so that should lead to some sticker shock for Americans. But it would be hard for the Fed to respond to that if it's coming from tariffs and not demand-side inflation. I think the bigger risk is that the unemployment rate rises and all the uncertainty and potentially new business decisions, and they would have to respond to that.
I think you just laid out a great case, Sarah, and I think you agree with me that the Fed needed to pause in January and maybe pause again in March. Here we are on the eve of what we thought were going to be tariffs on Canada, Mexico, and China, and now we don't have the Mexican tariffs. So they're going to be delayed at least a month. You saw the range of forecasts out there from 0 to 1.5 when it comes to GDP or to CPI, and then from minus 0.1 to minus 2 when it comes to CPI. So these are very, very difficult things for the Fed to come in. They cannot play politics, but they also can't. They have to forecast the politics of all this, which are very difficult. I think you're right. There's an unemployment aspect to this. And by the way, there's also a recessionary aspect to this. One of the reports I read over the weekend, Sarah, said that a Mexican, with the tariffs, a Mexican recession is now the base case. So you have to think about that as well.
Yeah. Steve, thank you.